Yeah, well, kudos to you for showing up. So anybody who showed up or even signed up, I'm going to allow to do. You're able to use our product for a year free, and we will literally convert your entire onboarding process, um, probably in two phases, which I'm going to walk you through here, which is where success comes from in launching that. And you can use our tool and our consultants for free to basically blow this out. So kudos to you. I'm going to be sending an email um, after this. And if you just respond yes to that, they'll connect the dots and it's free. And if you want to end at the end of the first year, you can, no problems. There's no problems whatsoever, but the ROI is going to be huge. Our price in general is super cost efficient. So there's going to be massive ROI for you. Plus, it gets you over the bridge, which is what each one of you and why you're here. So kudos to you. 1 year, and we're going to customize it. You lose all of our features, anything you want, plus coaches to get you started fast. So that's a way to start a webinar. Winner, winner, winner. We have many Fortune 500 clients, enterprises big and small, startups, you name it. We've seen it all. So that actually rhymed, was not the plan. But yeah, so kudos to you. Congrats. Free, literally free. After that, probably not much money at all for you. So just the only requirement is after I send this video out, email me back. We know who's on the list. We do this like once or twice a year. I kind of pick when we're going to do these on. It's a huge value. So kudos to you. So let's get started. You're already a winner, so let's get into it. Um, let's get started. Okay. So why are you here? Well, more than likely, obviously, it's related to onboarding. That would be a shocker if it's not. See you later. The offer's still there for you if you need it. But I have this slide in almost every presentation I do. Well, the size of it is a little off on my monitor, but well, basically, most of our clients kind of come from this ecosystem. Basically, B2B environment. As I mentioned, I'm 48. It changed a lot since the good old days, I call them, where a lot of things were just a lot simpler to get done and to deploy and sell, hand off, deploy was all a lot easier. And now it's just getting atrocious. And it just involves a massive ton of people, processes, environments, all sorts of things to really make it. You're living it, and so you're experiencing it every day. There's high risk, there's high challenges, all sorts of things that are going on, and the number of people involved is, I would say, in some use cases, kind of a little embarrassing, right? Like some of you might have been involved in some of these, but we do a lot in regulated industries, also all industries, but we have a lot in finance, healthcare, other verticals, industrial, professional services. A lot of projects are run through our platform for onboarding and delivery, but ultimately, I still think in our healthcare, we're hitting the records of about 40 people just from one company involved in just the onboarding of a relatively medium grade product. This wasn't even like an enterprise wide deployment. So you know what you got going on. You got to herd the cats. And so on the left hand side is you and your team, which a lot of you struggle with handoffs and da 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 da, right? And then the actual onboarding. And on the right hand side is kind of obviously the customer side. Now, the topic of today, of course, is bridging the gap, right? So a lot of clients, when they come to us, they're doing some, obviously, hopefully, if hope you have a business, you're doing some sort of onboarding, right? When we say onboarding, just the Engage consortium, we really think of onboarding as including handoff also. So sales, just for terminology, sales. Then there's handoffs, which I'll frequently call as HO, and then onboarding, right? And onboarding to us too is kind of a little bit more on the backside too. So it's not only onboarding, it's we like to call the make or break 120, which is 120 days after project delivery, product delivery, SaaS product, whatever it is, you deliver the first 120 days is the make or break. I can show you thousands of numbers of how your churn and loss of clients will be based on that. I do tons of presentations. I'll include those in my follow up. Well documented changes for clients coming to us, how we cut that off, and if you're doing it wrong, how it dramatically affects revenue and opportunities for you. So, long story short, complex environment, right? Lots of moving pieces, a lot of revenue on the line here. And you're now taking the approach now of like, all right, how do I, the old adage is are all the business plans on the shelf. Might be some good ideas, but if they're on the shelf, they're never going to make it. Same thing with onboarding plans, and Some of it, well, I know why. In a lot of cases, it's complex. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of people involved. And also, it seems probably to many of you daunting. Like, how are we ever going to get to this point? And I'm going to walk you through kind of a simple phases that we like to do with our clients because I'll frequently say the Kia, the Camry, and the Cadillac of experiences. All of them are great now. All those vehicles are great now. That's how much it's changed. Kias when they first came out, a little rocky. Now, well, really nice vehicles. But nonetheless, Kia, Camry, Cadillac. So we're gonna kind of walk through that and kind of there's three things I think you really, no matter what you do, whether it's with us, I hope it is. Obviously, I just gave you a full free year of literally setting you up and coaching you and doing everything and no strings attached. Um, yeah, definitely take advantage of that. But with that, in that, there's kind of three core principles that I'm going to walk you through today that are must haves to achieve really in your belly what you want the goal to be, which is to win, right? I use that saying a lot. So let's get into it. So one, level set. Typically, the B2B environment is like this. We do have B2C customers who leverage our product because it's just either a complex product. So if you're obviously, we have tons of people on these and all over stuff. But if you're selling B2C, where we really come in is the higher end of B2C. For instance, we have jet manufacturers. We have, where you're buying a private jet or stuff like that. So complex purchases. It can be B2C, but typically it has to be a complex purchase and onboarding experience. So let's jump. So complexity. You're all saying yes. I know in your heart you are. So I'm going to move forward. Next. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do anything. How about we do this? Okay. So drivers that result in bad onboardings. Again, we're trying to bridge the gap here, right? So there's a bridge. So there's a lot of problems that happen when you don't have, and again, many of you have different, it's always tough on these calls, obviously, because you're all in varying levels, you're all in varying complexities. But let's just roll with give Joe a break and let's call it thematically, right? So lack of clear onboarding goals. And there's going to be something that kind of comes up at the end where it's a little bit more free flow. A lot of clients who come to us, they're doing everything by email. There's kind of an ad hoc-ish flow to that. Not a lot of expectation management, not zero visibility of kind of where things are at. So there's just a lot of challenge, and it's not your fault. Typically, most of you are in a company or an organization that has evolved or iterated over time, and it's just kind of it is what it is now. But you're recognizing that we need to get better. And so that's where I recognize that. And so these are some of the drivers that really create the frustrations. And maybe that's why you're here today, right? So it's lack of clear goals, slow implementation. You're wanting to go faster. Things aren't getting done on time. You're looping back, bad data, you name it, you're getting pissed. Ineffective communication. Has anybody experienced that? I doubt it. So typically, those are the things that really start to get people to the point where not only are customers mad, but you might be mad because your team isn't being very efficient, right? Some of that is trying to do a one size fits all approach. We'll talk about that. And lack of customer engagements. Sorry about that. Somehow got cut off on today's call. But ultimately, there's a lot of drivers underneath this that are kind of one, they're intimidating. Two, you're like, well, how do I solve this? Like they're complex problems. And so it's not easy to see the path right forward. And that's what I hope to provide you today with not only feedback, but also what I just said to you guys is an awesome opportunity. And so there's kind of, I mentioned three things you got to consider. And if you get off this and you're like, Joe, I don't want to take advantage of your awesome deal. But the reality is you're going to need to do this no matter what if you really want to get what you've architected or you're thinking about architecting and taking it to the next level. So the first is centralized. And so I'll be blunt. One of the biggest problems in onboarding is Captain Chaos. Everything is everywhere. No one has access to the right information. It's out of date. All sorts of things are going on. It's buried in emails. It's a gigantic train wreck, right? And again, to the earlier slides where you have multiple people, train wreck, where you got multiple product offerings or train wreck, train wreck. It just gets worse and worse, right? And it's not going to get better. There's a lot, well, yeah. If any of you right now currently sell into banks, healthcare, the healthcare peripheral, financial service, we have so many clients already that are not allowed to get emails, like they cannot receive emails. Just think about that if you're an onboarding leader. Like you can't even get emails to them. You need to provide them a centralized environment. You got no chance, right? And so a lot of stuff is moving forward, not only from a security perspective, the expectation of clients, but then also getting everything into one environment so that there's consistency of those onboarding experiences, and then communication around that centralized information is just flat out. If you're going to do one thing, that's the number one thing you need to do. Get the house organized, herd those damn cats, and get them all going to one centralized environment. Now, gangster, yeah, you could do like a file folder or SharePoint, but that's really just a folder of information. And I'll walk you through kind of how you can take the next level and next steps around there. But ultimately, you got to get your house in order so that the clients, when they are being onboarded or the handoff or the information you're asking them to do, they're all getting organized into one place. Okay. Mission critical, keep it simple. Again, I'm going to bifurcate this a little bit for you. So you're wanting to do more aggressive onboarding or more experience-based onboarding. The first thing you need to think about is forget about everything. Just pick one flow. We call them experiences you want to do. So for instance, if you're selling a product or service, and I'm going to, again, trying to keep this simple for today, but let's say you are selling to banks and hospitals, right? You're going to pick just one of those. Forget about hospitals for now. Now just pick banks. Now, when you guys are onboarding banks, maybe you guys have 7 services that banks are offering. Forget about all 7. Just focus on 1 or 2. Probably the 80-20 rule. 2 or 3 of those products are going to be what is primarily sold. The rest are kind of supplemental. So in the first stages, keep it simple. So pick one vertical or industry, pick one customer type, and pick a subset of that of one customer product offering, like one product offering, right? Or project, work with me, right? So just slice that all down. As we move forward here, think from that perspective. Boiling the ocean is intimidating. Boiling a pot of water, everybody can do, right? So keep it simple. Stop worrying about solving all problems. Let's solve a problem. And then what we coach is build, layer, measure, improve, right? So think of this as a journey, not a transaction when you're trying to launch your new onboarding experience. So the 3 elements I'm talking about here, and as we drive into these, for your early stage, right? It's like anything else. It's like weight loss, it's working out, it's investing. You start small, you get compound interest, you build, you get better, and then all of a sudden it's rolling, right? So that kind of spirit. You don't have to solve all the problems today. You don't need to get everybody in your organization involved today either. You can pick a small team, small SWAT team, a subset of your team, or if you're a one person, it's even easier. You can move faster, right? But ultimately, as I go through these 3, think from that purview. Slice it down. We would call it a red dot item, right? So we get new clients and we're like, all right, let's get started. And we're like, okay. And they're like, we have 25 onboarding processes. Or product offers. We're always like, well, which one's bleeding the most? Which one's hurting the most? And how can we provide and get that one going first? So again, from your purview, think from there. All right. Enough strategy on that front. So if you keep that in the back of your mind as the approach, okay, then there are 3 ways to achieve that. One is centralizing the environment, mission critical, because it's got to be visible, maintainable, not only for you guys, but also your team, but also the client. You have Netflix and the client has Netflix because both of you want things on demand, right? Just think that way, okay? So getting data into one centralized environment that is updated and available not only to you, but also the client, okay? Number 1, infrastructure. The second one is most of you are trying to bring data back and forth in an onboarding experience. Typically, you're providing templates, or if it's a project or professional services, you're exchanging a lot of things back and forth. So you got to try to optimize that environment. This is just a visualization, of course, because data is so critical to most of onboarding experiences. And when it's done wrong, that's where obviously a lot of problems come, is because the configuration data is wrong or whatever. I mean, there's just thousands of things that can go wrong there. So you want to make sure that you're able to move that data back and forth accordingly. So it's centralized, but then they should be able to share information, collaborate on that with you and your team, right? And kind of guide those things across, because communication and visibility is king. And Gigo, garbage in, garbage out. Probably many of you are shaking your heads. That is a big problem for a lot of clients. Is they're uploading Excel spreadsheets, they're collecting data, and the data is wrong, or it's the wrong version. You've been passing things back and forth for 6 weeks, right? It's buried in emails now. All sorts of problems lie in this. So just make sure that there's a clean way of that. Okay, very, very, very important. The next one, I'm going to beat you down on this one. So this is like the keys to the castle kind of concepts, and I'm going to walk you through. But we obviously all of our clients, and yeah, just it works. That's why we do it. Mutual plans. So the element to take your onboarding to the next level is not just you getting better and the process getting better. It's enrolling the client, your new client, into the onboarding experience very aggressively. And we use the word mutual. You might be familiar with mutual plans for complex sales. That's very popular. A lot of our clients use us for that because it's a super complex sales process. Then the handoff, but then the actual onboarding. And the onboarding, it's really about working together and building a mutual plan, a mutual execution experience that really starts and they're not complicated to do, especially if you go back to what I just said and slice it down, start simple, and you'll build this out over time. So that's really the key. And you can start with a very simple mutual plan in the beginning, but then gather that feedback, obviously, and continuously expand over time. You can always improve, but you can't do anything unless you start, right? And so that's why I'm so adamant about helping out is just get started, KISS theory, keep it simple, stupid, right? And basically from there, continuing to build out. But it's critical, even in the early stage, to have some sort of mutual plan experience. Now, if you don't, obviously I just gave the tool away for a year for only the people here, but ultimately you could start with an Excel file, but what you miss with that is all the communication, collaboration, the centralization, 24 demand, right? So you really got to think about, how to execute that. So let me walk you into the why behind these and the mutual kind of elements. So you would keep it simple at the beginning, and that's what this is here, right? This is high level how a mutual plan works. Think of a mutual plan as just you and the customer. Of course, you're going to be teeing up key things you need to do, but they are working with you on that. So it's collaborative and so that they own it just as much as your team owns it to ride towards those deadlines, right? And so this is the kind of the spirit behind it. Shared goals. There's more accountability. There's more visibility, right? As I mentioned here, transparency. So this is heavily used in handoffs and onboardings, right? This is kind of a simple use case, and I'll show you one here in about 5 minutes. I'll show you just some examples so you're like, get it, get it, get it, because it opens up that proper conversation that should be happening with the client to really optimize that onboarding experience. So mutual plans in the back of your head, as you've laid out your process or at least the high level steps, then what are the mutual elements that are needed? What are they going to do? What does your team need to do? What has to be reviewed? All that. That is what a mutual plan is. It transforms your results as far as accountability, visibility, velocity. Don't get me started on all the metrics that we work with you on, from time to value to overall launch plan. Like we work on about 7 to 10 key metrics for clients so that we measure everything from how you are today, timestamp today, to timestamp a year from now. Like I was saying, use the product for a year. In a year, you're going to see substantial differences in those numbers, plus new numbers you never even knew about, which help you grow your department. You become the VP of the department, etc. So it's pretty exciting. It's all pretty much turnkey. We just guide you over the next 6 months to a year on how to achieve those. So what this is I would call level one kind of stuff for handoffs and onboarding, right? Then if you get into level two, this is that Kia Camry Cadillac I was talking about. Everybody always points to when we first talk to them, like the most complicated scenario ever known to man or woman, right? Like, well, it's like, okay, we'll get there. And trust me, we have clients that super complex by people, by title, by all sorts of things, different information going around. We love that part, but that's when our platform gets to that flexing level where you know what you want because it's based on real data. So we do kind of the basic first, Kia. right? Then get into, okay, we see what's working, not working. Let's bring in those vertical specific. Let's bring in, configuration or bespoke experiences. Then it starts to get more complexity, but you're only layering that complexity into it after your baseline is going extremely well. And then we're going to roll you into those more complex, what we would call onboarding experiences, which allow you to get to a whole nother level of risk mitigation, right? Visibility, reporting, management, all sorts of things. But you got to do the baseline first, right? They all build off of a core centralized environment, mutually plan driven, and then we start to get into the fancy, if I may, versions of that to drive more value, handle more complexity, and do it. So again, a lot of the fear of getting started is how am I going to get to that level? What I'm telling you is think of it as the way we were just talking about. Break it down, identify just one use case, one experience, and then start to layer that out accordingly and then build it out over time. So think of your own onboarding going from idea to reality in itself as an onboarding plan. You got to start simple and then start layering in all of these complexities. And like I said, I do about 2 giveaways a year. This is one of them because of the title of this event. Many of you are probably on the borderline. And like I said, you can use the tool for a whole year. And I guarantee you, we will blow it out of the water with you, for you. And yeah, it will work. And trust me. So that's level 2. That's kind of like leveling up, right? And I think with respect, everybody knows what's reality. You got to build those quarterly goals for yourself and then start layering in these things. That's why I say a year, because we want to immediately provide value and then scale from there. All right. So that's another element to this. The whoops. So in summary, kind of this, but what I want to show is how that you do this because you can mimic this in many different ways. But let me if you're watching here, you're probably thinking this is like my first day using computers. I'll tell you what's going on. At 48, I've now wear glasses, as you can see, and I have 3 monitors, huge monitors, right? Now, but I can't find my mouse half the time. I don't know if this happens to you guys too, but I'm like lost on a lot of things there. So thank you. So 30,000 foot, you obviously know who you are. You've been on our website, you signed up for this. So we have a product, air quote, called Engage, right? And so this is a sample workspace. This is a workspace between, would be between you and your client Falcon. Falcon's your new client where it says Proteus Engage, of course, would be your logo. This is all a private environment between you and the customer you're onboarding, in this case, Falcon. And you can see here, this is a pretty simple example. And this is where all of you would start with the pilot that I'm talking about, the 1 year pilot, because literally we're going to start you simple and then kind of scale you from there. But ultimately on the left-hand side, um, this use case has discovery, which is a mutual plan for sales. And then you get into onboarding. And this is kind of an example mutual plan, of course. And this is a guided experience between, obviously this would be between you and Falcon, bringing everybody together. So communicating, tasking, checklist process, document sharing, surveys being filled out or forms being filled out, all of that happens inside this environment, fully integrated, obviously, with HubSpot and Salesforce. If you use those, it's integrated with Slack and Teams. It integrates with your email. Basically, it makes it really, really easy for these 3 people, which would be your contacts, your new clients people, and then this would be your 3 people, you, maybe the original sales rep, a leader, et cetera, and a lot of people kind of come in and out. But ultimately, these workspaces, client facing, they can just simply click a link and get to this or log in like an extranet, popular in both ways. But ultimately, each one of these items is a guided experience. And some of these things might be only internal to you, so the client does not see them, or ones that are for the client. So there's many different ways these all can be deployed, and they're very, very powerful, and they're templated. So the whole concept of this is we help you figure out what your templates are, configure those. You reuse them 1,000 times, we hope. And then, of course, there's a lot of interactions or automations we do down this about like reminders and follow-ups and all sorts of things to help drive communication and collaboration between you and the company you're onboarding. This is not a demo today. I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but ultimately trying to get you to understand we were talking about centralized, mission critical, because then you have visibility, reporting, analytics, all sorts of stuff going on to give you the intelligence. Then process execution. This is what we're talking about here. This is a mutual plan for onboarding. There's for handoffs. There's all sorts of stuff that this is used for, even trainings, a lot of clients, and kind of centralizing all your stuff into even here, like providing every client a resource library, which is all of their paperwork and documentation and other things. Of course, many clients also share additional resources or materials to them, case all sorts of stuff. You can share anything you want in here, but ultimately it's centralizing everything and then also having a kind of templated experiences. So it's easy to scale this, and not only for you, but obviously your team members to be able to all have a consistent engagement with customers. And we do that all within what we call workspaces. That's what these are. And so as you can track from the start of the call to here, one, it's Kia Camry Cadillac. Start simple, slice it down to one experience, figure out what is needed there, transpose that obviously into a mutual plan type of experience like what I'm showing here, right? Which allows you to do reporting, you have visibility on everything, assignments, not only again internally, but also customer assignments. This is why it's joint, right? And then breaking out all of the mission critical things needed to get over the line, that already is going to transform your time to value. Transform it. Like literally will transform that already. Also, you as a leader on the call, you're going to have ridiculous amount of visibility as to what's going on. You're onboarding 20 clients a week to only 20 clients a year if you're an enterprise with complex stuff. We handle all situations, but ultimately that's what we do. That's what we've learned, and we have tons of clients like yourself that are ready to take that next step, which is transposing it from an Excel spreadsheet or email, mapping that into what we call experiences, because the tool will do everything for you. It will do all the reminders. It will create the visibility. It will do follow-ups. It will do everything. So the return from an operational experience for your team, about 30% efficiency just to your team, just in picks and clicks, and because we do the templating, emailing, all sorts of stuff, just you already get massively efficient. Same thing on the client side. So just giving you kind of where what I just explained, where that comes from, and the proof is in the performance always. That's how we're helping clients transform and get off basically the rock, like you guys are doing. Kudos to you, as I mentioned, and kind of get that into an actionable experience with your clients, because the results are ridiculous. Literally, they are 30% efficiency on your side, 85% more engagement, way more timely deployments, cutting days. And when we start cutting days on deployments and stuff like that, you're talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And so you will see that over the next year with us, obviously. Um, yeah. So ultimately, this is what I'm talking about. So centralization, get it together, process execution, and of course the visibility of that and data sharing. I mean, we do a tremendous amount of data movement for clients there. So just wanted to bring it to life. That's how you win. I will promote a little bit. Honestly, if because you'll be on the next webinar, you'll hear I do not do what I started this webinar with, giving everybody the tool for a year free. This is actually the next, it's on the 15th, I guess, of May. This webinar that we're doing is a lot of our clients also have bifurcated strategies, meaning they're doing self-serve, mid-market, and enterprise all within the client. You can do that too. We'll do that for you. Again, only this event, or do I say that? This event, I will not be saying that. But a lot of our clients, so if you're like this, that's okay. That's what we do for everybody. There's small, medium, large, and basically self-serve to middle grade. And so I would encourage that. I'll also share some other webinars, unbelievable webinars with resources around this. We eat this every single day, and we love helping because it just dramatically changes the spirit of your departments, the reproducibility of that, and the clients are way happier. So I appreciate everybody's time. Again, keep it simple, stupid, right? I'll send out that email later today with the recording. And then all you literally have to do is reply to that email and say, Joe, I'm interested. And I'll send you my private calendar because we don't have a system to do this because we don't offer this all the time. And then we'll do a quick call to make sure everybody's namaste. And then the team will give you a jingle and have you set up. Typically, average client is set up within 2 weeks. And it's not like 2 weeks worth of work, just a couple of meetings, 2 to 3 weeks. And I guarantee you before that next meeting, 5:15, next webinar, you'll be up and going and seeing massive results already. So as I said, kudos to you guys. Thanks for signing up, because that's the first step. First step is saying, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to make a change. I want this to be better. And we can no doubt help you. And there's no secret like bullshit in what I'm talking about here. Like, we're not going to razzle dazzle you. You get it 1 year for free, and we'll do all the consulting, everything, all features, everything. You'll have a massive ROI. And yeah, so look forward to meeting some of you privately, of course, I would assume. If anything else comes up, obviously email me back, and I'll share some additional resources from this, but highly confident we can help. And congratulations, because like I said, we don't do this. Our chief revenue officer wouldn't approve of what I just did, but they know I do it twice a year. So this is one of them, and next one maybe in Q3 we'll do it. So I appreciate everybody's time, effort, energy. Look forward to helping you, I guess, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.